You are the sum total of who you surround yourself with.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Seven Figure Journey podcast. My name is Brett Gilliland. I'll be your host today. Every episode, my team members and I get to visit with amazing business owners. These are real business owners who've learned real lessons as they've grown their real businesses. And then they're also sharing real challenges. These lessons and challenges are applicable to all sorts of business owners out there. And it's our privilege, our honor, really, to bring all these great business owners to all of you so that you can learn from them as well. Today, my guest is John Nicholls. John is the owner and president of Nichols Auction Marketing Group. Has to be one of the only ones out there. They're still doing a really cool thing. They're helping to market people's homes, not distressed properties, but they're good standing properties out there, and they want to use one of the original ways to set the best price, and it's to gather up all the demand that's out there and put an auction together and see what surfaces with that. So I'm very intrigued. John, welcome to the show.
Thank you,
Appreciate
sir.
you
It's a
being here.
pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so I did my clunky best to introduce what you guys do. Why don't you give our listeners the right context for who you guys are, what you're doing, and then we'll jump into our the meat of our interview.
Sure, absolutely. And again, thank you for having me. It's an honor and a privilege to be with you today. But my mom and dad founded our company in 1968 with a totally different business model. Basically, they would sell anything that was out there to sell personal property, farm equipment, construction equipment, real estate, whatever the case is. I took over the company in '07, and a few years after that, we wanted to be I just felt like we were getting into a niche society situation, and I just knew that people who wanted to potentially for us to sell their real estate, whether it be residential, commercial buildings, industrial, farmland, timberland, whatever the case might be, they didn't want to see their real estate on a web page or on a website underneath oak furniture or beanie babies or whatever the case is there with personal property. Not that there's anything wrong with that, because there's a lot of people that make a good living doing that, but we wanted to focus on a niche, being a niche industry, if you will. And I just got to thinking, hey, if I God forbid have a brain tumor, I'm not going to go to an orthopedic surgeon. I want to go to the best neurologist there is. And so it has really worked for us well. As you said, we are really specializing in non-distress situations. We don't do any type of foreclosures or tax sales or anything like that. We consider ourselves and want to be the first choice for very cutting edge sellers who really see the value in a transparent, competitive bidding situation. More importantly, first and foremost, we're a marketing firm. So we take the properties, again, whether they're residential, commercial, industrial, agricultural, and we guerrilla target market to bring in qualified buyers. And very seldom are you going to see uh, traditionalist realtors who are going to potentially have 100 people show up at an open house, or 100 people show up to competitively bid against each other on their property. And so that's what we do. And we do, I think, the best job out there at it. And it is really, I'm in the Northern Virginia area, so I'm 50 miles south of DC, 50 miles north of Richmond, with offices all over the state. And we do Virginia, Maryland, DC, all over the mid Atlantic. And then we have a nationwide network as well. So we have been extremely blessed and are excited about what's going on.
Well, I think it was wise to choose a niche. Good for you. I know that's
Yeah.
hard too, especially in a long-standing business. That business has been around, nearly 40 years when you made that decision,
Mhm.
and it might have been hard for your parents to go, wait a minute, but this is all the stuff we've done, and for you to say, but we're going to be the best at this particular thing, even without asking you for lessons that you've learned. You've already shared one. Get really clear, get really niched, help everybody understand you are the one for this specific thing. And I love that you guys have done that. Good for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congrats on that. All right, so John, let's get into the lessons sharing mode here.
Okay.
You have learned a lot over a lifetime of being in a family business and taking over that business many years ago, and leading the strategic decisions around that, leading, building the business, you personally have grown as a leader. And whether they're personal leadership lessons or business scaling types of lessons, I'd love for you to share the top, I don't know, let's start with the top one or two lessons that you've learned in the growing of your business that might be helpful to another business owner out there.
That's a great question, Brett. And I think the biggest thing is, and I'm a big quote person, and so I send out motivational, inspirational quotes to my team 5 days a week, and have
Mm,
been doing that for probably 10 years. And I think one of the things that I feel like, as you just touched on, and that is you never arrive. It all goes to zero at midnight. And
mm,
and basically when you're through changing, you're through. So we're all a work in process. So one of the biggest lessons that I have found that has taken us to the next level is you are the sum total of who you surround yourself with.
mm,
And so, man, the quality of our team, the quality of our partners is otherworldly. I mean,
mm,
empower people. I want to have people around me that are smarter than me. If I'm the smartest person in the room, I need to get in another room. And I
mm,
want people around me who are smarter than me, not be intimidated by them, but to learn from them, to grow from them. And one of the things that I've really tried to implement in our firm is by empowering people, by not micromanaging people. There again, trust but verify, but not micromanage. It's when somebody comes on to a real estate event that we're doing, they really shouldn't be able to tell who's the boss,
mm,
because we've got great people. We've got amazing people. We have, folks that are 10 times more brighter and innovative than I am. But I think that's what good leaders do. You surround yourself and it makes everybody better. Rising tides, are going to help all ships. So I think that's one of the biggest things, man. It's just one of my favorite quotes is, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
mm.
And I'm just a huge team concept person. And I think it's worked out well for us because there again, empower them, let them do their job and get out of their way.
Yeah, love all of those. I completely agree with all of it. Wouldn't matter if I didn't, but I do agree with everything you've said. I'd love to drill down a little bit. Let's click down a layer or two further, John, because
Sure.
I think a lot of people they get that intuitively. They're like, man, yeah, if I had amazing people in every role, our business would be better. But then they struggle to figure out either how to go from the today's reality where it's like, but I need all the people I have, or else things will start to hurt really bad. Like if I lose somebody, then we're going to be in pain. And so they don't upgrade their talent either by developing them or by bringing in somebody new, or they don't know how to identify the really good ones from the start. When they go to hire a new one, they're sort of rolling the dice. Is there some practical advice or some tips that you've learned over the years to either identify great people on the front end when you're hiring them? How do you sort them out from the really great ones from the rest? And or how do you like rip the band-aid off on a situation where maybe you have somebody that's subpar, but
Sure.
it's better to have somebody than nobody, and they're kind of
You know,
yeah.
I get it. I totally understand. And that is a huge challenge in today's world. I think the biggest thing is, and we painstakingly did an SOP down to the nth detail. Why? Because if John Nichols got hit by a truck, I want this company to continue to flourish, to continue to go. So our pieces and our team members are almost like Legos.
Mm,
They can step in. I want everybody to know almost how to do everything. They may not know how to do it as good as you. They may not know how to do it as good as me, but they're going to be able to do it. They're not going to be paralyzed. And in
mm,
so many companies, I see that if it was called John Nicchols Auction Company and John Nichols dropped dead of a heart attack, you'd never hear from him again.
mm,
It wouldn't. That's not. I don't think that's being a good steward. I don't think that's being responsible. So we try to cross train as much as possible. Another thing that I've learned, and I learned it the hard way: don't paint red flags white.
mm,
Do not paint red flags white. If someone shows you who they are, 9 times out of 10, believe them. And so I try to actually hire or have team members come in that are outside of our industry. Why? Because I want good people first. I think you can teach what we do. I know you can't teach character. You
mm,
can borrow brain, you can't borrow character. I can teach them what we do, I can't teach them how to be good people. And so I like to watch them in different situations with their families, with their friends, in high pressure situations. Driving a car in Washington D.C. traffic will tell you a lot about a person. And so it's just it's there again. Anytime we bring somebody on, it's a 6 to 9 month probationary period because I want to see if they still like me and I still like them. After
Mhm.
that time frame. But I just think any time that I have painted red flags white, I've regretted it. I've really regretted it. And so, slow to hire, quick to fire. And thankfully, we're very blessed that we have not had to do that many times at all over the last 56 years. But I do think that you watch people and you watch their character, and if you find somebody that has character and then on top of that has passion, man alive, do whatever you can do to keep them. But I think to answer your question, that cross training is so critical, and we really work hard to make that happen.
Well, you started out with SOPs, and I don't like to assume on this show that everybody knows what SOPs are. So
Sorry about that.
no, it's
Standard
good.
operating procedures.
Yeah, I know you know, and I
Yeah,
know, but
yeah,
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 but basically, what is the process for getting and serving the clients that you serve, uh, down to the and you said the nth degree, right? Like, what
yeah,
are each of the steps? Do we have it all well defined? Is it well designed to produce the kind of outcomes that we want? And then if we have that documented, now we can do cross training. We can, somebody can leave unexpectedly, and then we know exactly the work that has to be done by somebody. How do we fill in for that somebody while we find someone else? Anyway, I love the places that you start and where you went. The character piece is huge, and often we fall in love with those resumes. We see the skill set or the experience. We're like, okay, they have what we
yeah,
need, but they may
yeah.
not be who we need,
Right.
and there's a difference. And so I
Yeah,
like.
I really love to find out their reputation in the community, in their community.
Mm,
I love to do a little social media creeping, if you
hmm.
will,
Yeah.
it's just we're dealing in our business. We are dealing with many people's greatest asset that they will ever have in their life. And
Hmm.
even though we do it multiple times a day, they may only do it one time. I literally met with a gentleman yesterday who will turn 100 years old on August the 30th. He's a World War II veteran. He's in his mind sharp. I was meeting with his two daughters. We're going to sell their property. And I'm just like, man, how would I want somebody to treat my dad? How would I want somebody to treat my grandfather? And so I tell our folks, and our team has bought into it. We're not in the real estate auction business. We're in the people helping business. And
Hmm.
I think much like Zig Ziglar said, if you help people get what they want, you'll always get what you want. And
Yeah.
so people first, people first, people first, people's needs first. We take folks that are overwhelmed in some situations, whether it's an estate or whatever the case is, and we want to take that burden off of them. But I promise you, if you're in the people helping business, you're going to be fine. The revenue will take care of itself.
Yeah. John, I always love it when I come across a quote loving person, who's been nourishing, and I'll use that word very intentionally. Who's been nourishing yourself and your team for years. Like, we are what we put into ourselves, uh, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Right? Like, we feed that somehow, and if we're not feeding it, we're neglecting it. And a lot of us put a lot of junk into our bodies, put a lot of junk into our mind, and it shows. So I could listen to you for a long time. Appreciate all the wisdom coming out of you, whether it's inspired by a Zig Ziglar or a John Maxwell or any other number of great minds who've helped you become the leader that you are today. So thank you for sharing a little glimpse of that.
Thank you,
Let,
sir.
let's transition to and I feel the I guess the authenticity, the realness coming from you, and the humility that says, and I still have things that I don't know, right?
Oh,
I'm still learning, growing, figuring things out.
100%, 100%.
So what in your business is I don't know, the most vexing challenge or problem today that maybe the two of us talking together can free up for you, or at least provide a different insight or another tool?
It's and I'll get to to the to problem, if you will, or the things that everybody needs help on. But one of the things that I just don't want to let people down. Our
Mm,
team does not want to let people down. To my knowledge, we very seldom do, but that's why we're literally religious about returning text, emails, phone calls within 30 minutes if
mm,
possible. If and like I tell people, if you don't get a text back from me pretty soon or quickly, I'm either in the morgue or we've got a dire emergency, because I think people want to be heard. I
mm,
think people want to be We get a lot of business because, believe it or not, we return calls, we return emails, we return texts, and it blows my mind. I don't know how people stay in business that don't do that.
mm.
But I want to treat people how I would want somebody to treat my mom, my dad, myself, my wife, my children, whatever the case might be. I think one of the biggest challenges right now, Brett, for us is that I have been looking for quite some time for a quality uh, individual who Spanish is their number one language. I
Mm,
really want to get in that niche
mm,
because I just think you're dealing with extremely bright people in this niche of society, hardworking people, people that have money, people that want to be treated equally, people that want to be treated with respect. And we have dealt with them on many, many occasions. The Hispanic community is what I'm referring to. And, Google Translate's my best friend, but that's okay in a pinch. But I really want somebody to be able to pour into their lives who is a Hispanic person, if you will, and who has Hispanic a background and who knows their culture inside and out. And because that makes them more comfortable. Yes, I can sit down with them in their office or their home, but I can sympathize with them. I can't empathize with them because I'm not in that culture. And so I'd really like to find somebody in that niche. And I've been looking for quite some time. And I'm not one of these people that's going to put out something on indeed.com
mhm.
or in the classified section of the newspaper. I want to find somebody in life. And so many times they find me. And I think that's so much, it works so much better that way.
Yeah, yeah.
But it is a challenge. I think I'm missing a huge part of the market. Huge.
Okay. I love the issue that you're raising. It's unique, but what's consistent or what's applicable, right, to everybody else is there may be a particular type of talent, type of individual that you're looking for that's kind of hard to find. How can you, and it doesn't have to have anything to do with, you know, John, your interest in expanding your market significantly by tapping into that Hispanic culture and Hispanic expertise and primary language speaker type of a person that you're looking for. So,
But how many
um,
people am I not able? See, I go to bed at night and we are extremely blessed. This will be a record year for us. The next 2 months, we're selling a lot of property, but I go to bed at night understanding that it all goes to zero at midnight. And I go to bed saying, where did I fall short? And I know that's a sickness. I understand that, but I rather than rest on my laurels, I'm like, what more could we be doing? And I just feel like we are missing a huge segment. Our church has a Hispanic church that we started that meets on our property, and I just watch those people. I watch that culture, and I'm envious in a lot of ways because they're joyful. They're happy. They're familial. They like gathering together. They're like we were back in the 40s and 50s as a culture, and I'm not able to help them to the greatest extent right now, and I just I just bugs me. It really really bugs me.
okay, I love that, John. So I don't know how these things happen, but you happened upon a person who loves the topic because I think it's a great topic for business owners who are trying to find, like, think differently about finding that perfect person that you need. But I also love the topic because I happened to serve a mission for my church for 2 years as a young man and lived in Mexico, and so
Wow.
I speak Spanish, and I love that culture, I love those people. By extension, all Hispanic people and their cultures are very appealing to me. Anyway, so this will be a fun conversation for us. Before we jump into just some ideas that I hope are helpful, what is the opportunity for you? I mean, you're saying that there's this untapped. You use the word huge, but what could this mean for your business if you figure this out?
It could probably mean an increase in revenue of 25 to 30% because in our area, there again, 50 miles north of Richmond, 50 miles south of DC,
Hmm.
we're like the United Nations. I mean, there's every culture that you can imagine
Yeah.
within a half hour drive from me, if not closer. But I just, I there again, I don't want to get caught up in the monetary end of things. I believe that'll take
Right.
care of itself. I
Right.
feel like I am missing the boat by not being able to endear myself and our company to people who may be insecure because this might not be their home country, if you will.
Hmm.
And I can, through tenderness, through kindness, through sincerity, through empathy, make their life so much easier and so much more comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Very good. I can see that. All right. So let's talk about ways that you might be able to find that person. Uh, I think of a person that I know through my work that is a real estate agent. He's in another state from you. He's a far away ways, but there's contacts. Here's the point: there are successful real estate people in who are Spanish speaking natives, right? They speak Spanish first, English as a second language, who are succeeding in various markets in this country. And
Amen.
so where I would think is a path to finding your person is to begin to talk to those successful Spanish speaking, um, knows the Hispanic culture really well, those successful agents, I would start talking to them. And I don't know what type of role you need, but I do know there are successful Spanish speaking first people out there.
100%.
And I would
100%.
I would just start talking to them and say, look, here's my vision, what I'm trying to create. Help me to articulate it better for the people that I'm trying to target. And John, I'm thinking about the an analogy I've given on this podcast before, but I haven't shared it with you, so I will again. I think about the bat signal. You said I don't want to post on Indeed.com and just put out this help wanted sign. Like I want to speak to this person in the perfect way that they recognize I'm talking to them, and I want to draw them in, right? Like that's a different approach. And so I think of the bat signal approach, which is, hundreds of thousands, if not million plus people in Gotham City see the signal, but they know it's not for them. One person knows it's for them, right?
Yep. You're
They
right.
see the signal. And so I would love for you to get help crafting that signal, assembling that signal, building that signal. And I think you could do it through successful Spanish speaking real estate people out there. Just say, here's what I'm trying to create. What how would I word this? How would I, if I were to write the perfect job posting for this person, what would it look like?
Hmm.
And I've also heard some great job posting people out there talk about a love letter. Like, write a love letter. This is another way of thinking about that bat signal. But what
Hmm.
is the language? What is the approach? What is that perfect love letter for the person I'm trying to find? And so you might use LinkedIn as a tool for reaching out individually to people that appear to be having success in real estate as a Spanish speaker first, and then reach out to them and say, "Hey, I'm John. I'm the owner at at this business, and I need somebody who is amazing in this market. You can tell them the geography or whatever, but help them see the vision of what you're trying to do, and ideas will come to their mind. If you could just interview them, just say, "Hey, can I get 15 minutes of your time? I want to find the perfect person who speaks Spanish as their primary language, who knows that culture really well, who has a passion for real estate. and I'm not trying to recruit you. I'm trying to get your ideas for how I can find this perfect person.
No,
Would you spend
that's great. That's some really really wise and good counsel. And as you were sitting there speaking about that, I might have answered my own question because I think I have fallen short by not going to our Hispanic pastor and asking him, having
what?
that meeting with him and telling him what I want, and who better to know the character, the
Yeah.
background of people than their pastor. So I think between what you have just verbalized and what this light bulb that's just gone off in my head, I think we might be getting on the right track.
Yeah, actually, John, I'm glad you said that. As soon as you talked about the fact that you helped, a Hispanic community start a church on your property or in your
Yeah,
backyard or whatever,
yeah,
I wanted to put the mirror back up and say, "Hey, you already have access to some of these people, right?"
yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. And it I just know this. I have to be. You have to be. This business is all business is relational. It's relational, and
Mhm.
people do business with people they like and trust. And yes, they may like me, but because I'm not going to have um, as much in common, or there again have the empathy or be able to empathize with what they potentially are going. I don't know what it's like not to be living in a country that I wasn't born in.
Right.
I don't understand that. I
Yeah.
can sympathize with it. I can't empathize with it. You and I can talk mortgages. We can talk this. We can talk that. It might be it might not translate in Spanish.
Right.
and
Yeah.
and so I'm trying to be sensitive to that, but I also realize, man, I'm missing a huge part of this population that we can help.
Yeah. And I would not position myself as uh, a Mexican culture expert, let alone a broader Hispanic culture expert. But again, having lived in Mexico with Spanish is what I had to speak. It's not just about the language, and you know it. It's about the culture.
Sure, sure.
I'll share a couple things that might be helpful. They're definitely a strong community oriented culture, right? So you've witnessed that, you've seen that, you see
Yes,
them interacting with each other.
yes,
There's a lot of high priority on family. There's a lot of priority on connectedness and
yes.
a sense of community. Now, because of that, and I'm not saying your idea is bad, some of them have to transact in their, they've got to sell their property, but a lot of them don't sell their property. A lot of them just hand off, their the family is so strong with them that it becomes a generational thing, the property ownership. And I
But
realize,
keep in mind, they may not sell their property, but there's a lot of people out here that are in the Hispanic culture that have a lot of money, that are hardworking, that are investors, that may want to buy
they might want to purchase property. Yes. Yeah. Okay. I
purchase
got you.
property. They may have investment property they want to sell.
Yeah.
They want to be shown respect and given the same opportunities as you and I have. And I
Of
don't know
course.
that some of them are even aware that they can do that through our means of sale. And so I just think it would open up a huge educational experience. They
Hmm.
don't know what they don't know. None of us do.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a good point. Yeah, so I like the way you're thinking about it. I like starting with the um, pastor, and just sharing. Here's my vision. Who should I start talking to? I would reach out to people who are having success in real estate on LinkedIn,
Absolutely.
and then yeah, I think you're on your way. And I wouldn't. You know how we started with SOPs, how you're like, how
Yeah.
how can I expect people to just come in and do this? I would actually go through the trouble of writing the perfect job description for this for the person that you're looking for, even if you don't want to put it on Indeed. The reason why is it will help you get really clear about exactly what you're looking for. And as you share that with the pastor, everybody kind of transacts in job descriptions when they're looking for talent. So
Sure.
I would go ahead and do it, even if it's not your intent to post it somewhere. I would put together that perfect explanation of, well, the benefits that I'm reaching for with this type of person on the team, what I think that who they are, all the things you described a lot of it, but I would put intentional time and effort into getting super clear so that I can communicate it clearly to others, and more importantly, so that they can share it effectively with people in their network.
Well, it always helps when you go from here to ink on paper or on a laptop. I mean, when it's here, it's just heavenly.
Yeah,
It's it's just an ideology. It's much like goals. They really aren't goals until you write them down.
yeah,
You
and
know,
and for everybody listening, John's pointing to his head, right? When they're here, when they're up in our brain, when they're just thoughts, yeah, they're not real yet. I mean, they're very powerful. Thoughts are powerful,
of
but
course,
we do need to get them more explicit. We need to get them written down. It's shareable that way. We get to
wise
more clarity.
wise
So
counsel. Yes, sir.
anyway, the pastor, LinkedIn, reach out for interviews, informational interviews, not like you're not trying to poach
Sure.
them or convince them. And then a really clear description you can use in all those settings to start sharing your vision for the role. I, I can't wait to hear when you find that person, John, because it's already feeling a lot more real to me than when we started talking.
Thank you. Me too. Thank you for that.
All right, John, this has been an exceptionally fun interview for me. Thank you for bringing your lessons learned, lots of wisdom shared, and then the fun challenge for us to just thought partner on. It was a fun episode. I appreciate who you are and what you brought to our show.
Well, you're mighty kind to have me, sir. It has been, like I said, a privilege, a pleasure. I hope this short time together might help some folks. And again, if you want to learn more about our firm, we're at nicholsauction.com or bidnichols.com, and you can learn all about our company. We can help you all over the world, actually. And but again, if you have not listened to Brett's podcast, I would highly encourage you to do so. There's a lot that we can all glean from going back to these past episodes. So I just appreciate you thinking of me and appreciate you having me.
Thanks, John. And for everybody listening, Nichols is spelled Nicholls, two L's and Nichols. So nicholsauction.com. Check
Yes,
that
sir.
out. Very good. This has been fun. For all of you listening, please share, like, review, comment, do all those things that allow us to get these episodes in front of as many seven-figure business owners as possible. The journey is hard enough. Why do it alone? We can get help from other people who are learning and growing through the same stuff. And please continue to listen to another episode of the Seven Figure Journey podcast.